back to Little Minds Big Talks. I'm Daisy.
I'm Nala.
And I'm Alex. And for this season, we've been on a mission to spread happiness.
Last month we talked about growth mindset and how our brains can grow stronger when we practice and don't give up.
This month we're focusing on something that also has a lot to do with our brains, and that's emotional regulation.
Emotional regulation means learning how to understand and manage our feelings, especially when they feel really big.
We've been learning that our brains have different parts that do different jobs. The front part of our brain, which we learned, is sometimes called the upstairs brain. Helps us make good decisions, solve problems, and stay calm.
Exactly. But when we feel really angry, scared, or overwhelmed, the lower part of our brain, the downstairs brain, can take over. That part is built to protect us, so it reacts very fast.
Scientists say that when our downstairs brain takes over, it can feel like we're about to explode or shut down. But the cool part is, we can actually help our upstairs brain come back online.
One way we learn to do that is by taking slow, deep breaths. When we breathe deeply, it sends a message to our brain that we are safe.
Deep breathing helps calm our nerve system, slow our heart rate, and give our upstairs brain time to think.
And when our brain is calm, we make better choices, treat people more kindly, and feel happier.
Today we are so excited because we have a special guest who understands the brain and emotions in a really deep way.
Our guest is Dr. Thao, a child psychologist who helps kids and families understand big feelings and learn how to handle them in healthy ways.
We're so excited to learn how emotional regulation connects to happiness.
Welcome to Little Minds Big Talks, Dr. Thao.
Thank you for having me back. It's really great to be here.
Why do our feelings sometimes feel so big, like when we're really mad, embarrassed, or worried? What's happening in our brain?
That's a really good question because sometimes even something very small can cause us to have a very big reaction and feeling. And so like you mentioned before, in your brain there are different parts that help with the different tasks. The front part of the brain, where you called the upstairs part, right? That's the part of the brain that helps with problem solving and decision making, and it's called the frontal lobe. And then the downstairs part, where you said managing your feelings, is the teeny tiny part of the brain, and it helps control emotional responses like fear, anger, pleasure, anxiety, and it's also known as the survival part of the brain. So I don't know if you've heard of the fight, flight, or freeze response.
Oh yeah, I have a book about that.
Yeah, so think of it when an extreme emotion takes over. That teeny tiny part of the brain is called the amygdala. It might be going into one of those fight, flight, or freeze, or fawn. Fawn is like when you get really sleepy modes, and it tries to survive. And then that decision-making part, that upstairs part, it kind of shuts down. So have any of you ever felt that way before?
I'm feeling very sleepy right now.
Yeah, going into the fawn mode.
Did not have enough sleep last night. How does learning to calm down help us be happier in the long run?
That's a great question. So being able to calm down can help us become happier in the long run because, like we talked earlier about emotional regulation, it's important to be able to take a pause, take a minute to think about why your body is having the reaction that it's having, why it's happening, and then you can problem solve the best way so that you can feel calm and regulated again. And the more that we can control our reactions, the more clearly we can think, and the more clearly we can respond and more appropriately to the situation in front of us without having to go into that survival instinct mode.
A quick follow-up question that's off the script. I'd like to know what you actually do for your job.
I am a child psychologist, and I work with, right now I work with kids at a gender center, so I support kids that are trans and non-binary.
Whoop.
And I also do therapy with kids, so I do a lot of therapy through play. So a lot of times, we don't always have the words to describe how we're feeling. So when we play, we can kind of express what's going on and we can show other people how we're feeling. So that's a great part of my job.
I'm a trans kid.
Awesome.
If someone feels overwhelmed or like they're about to explode, what are some simple strategies they can use in that moment?
So that can vary from person to person and what works for them. Sometimes taking deep breaths in and out can help. You can count. You could do a butterfly hug with finger taps like this. You could do rainbow counting, or you can squeeze a ball or some putty like the one that I brought today. And sometimes maybe we just want to be alone, or maybe we want to be with somebody else who can comfort us and help us feel better. And if you're in a safe environment where it's okay to do so, sometimes we do this in therapy, you can yell into something like a pillow or scream or hit something, and that can feel very cathartic. Do you know what cathartic means?
No.
It's almost like that feeling where like you get a release and then it kind of feels better because you're letting go of a lot of tension.
Is it bad to feel angry, sad, or frustrated, or is it more about what we do with those feelings?
You know, I get that question a lot from a lot of people, kids and grown-ups, and I think sometimes feelings like anger or sadness can be labeled as bad, and then being happy is good, but it's really important to be able to have a balance with all those feelings because they all serve a function. So being happy all the time could be great, but maybe it means that things are a little bit too easy and you aren't really learning from it. So think of if you win at things all the time. It can feel really good in the moment, but maybe you aren't learning from any mistakes or growing from it. And sometimes anger or frustration can happen because we really care about something that didn't go our way. So I can give an example. My kid, their soccer team lost in a tournament. They played really well, went to overtime, lost with like a final penalty kick. Everybody was so upset and they were crying, and that's okay because it just meant that it was really important to them that they won, right? And that they wanted to try really hard to win for their team. And then sometimes feeling scared or worried can also serve a function because it helps us prepare for danger or things that are unknown. And just because, you know, you want to like be careful with something, it's totally okay to like want to be prepared and know like what to expect. It just becomes unhealthy when it keeps you from doing things that you like getting out of bed, going to school, playing with your friends, and things like that. Has that ever happened to any of you?
Absolutely.
I think that happened to me, yeah.
Yeah.
How can parents and teachers help kids practice emotional regulation at home and at school?
Well, I think part of my job is, you know, being like a feelings doctor. It's really important for grown-ups to also be able to recognize when a kid might need extra help to manage their emotions. So sometimes what happens is that other people, especially grown-ups, might be responding to the behavior. You ever have it happen where like, you know, you might be crying or like you yelled out of frustration and then everybody responds to that behavior and they say like, stop doing that. You know, the kid might get punished, or maybe they're put on a timeout, they're sent to the office, they're sent out of the classroom. What happens is that maybe that kid was really sad or afraid or hurt or lonely, and instead of being supported, they're told that, you know, they're bad and they have to deal with it on their own. And that can be really hard because if someone is mean or hurtful to you, you're not likely to want to be kind to them in return, right? So it's really important. What we try to teach in therapy for, you know, kids and grown-ups is called co-regulation. So that's where we calm ourselves down enough to help you be able to calm down. And then you can help each other recognize what's going on, and then you can help each other feel better. So then, you know, you can use those other strategies like the putty, the breathing, the counting, all of that.
What's the connection between emotional regulation and friendships?
Well, emotions are a very big part of how we make and maintain relationships. So it helps us improve how we can communicate, especially when we can recognize and name the feelings that we're having. It helps us work through conflicts, and it helps us have deeper and meaningful connections with others. So when we care about and love somebody else, we're more likely to want to support them and help them co-regulate. Can you think of a situation in which you were able to or not able to regulate your emotions and it impacted a relationship or a friendship you had?
So often. I don't want to talk about it, but very often.
And that's okay, yeah.
If you could teach every kid in the world one thing about handling big emotions, what would it be?
I would say that I think it's okay to have big feelings and that sometimes we don't always have the words to describe in the moment what's going on for us. So maybe we ended up saying something mean or hitting or doing something we didn't mean to, and it's totally okay to come back and say sorry to that person later. Or sometimes we don't know why we get scared, and we might want someone to be with us, or we might push somebody away. And you don't always have to be happy because, again, life and feelings are about balance. And the most important thing to learn about recognizing our feelings is also learning from our mistakes.
Wow, that was amazing. We learned that big emotions aren't bad at all. They're a message from our brain.
We also learned that when we pause, breathe, and give our upstairs brain time to think, we can respond instead of react.
That doesn't mean we won't ever feel angry or sad. It just means we can learn what to do next.
Thank you so much for joining us today and for helping us understand how powerful our brains really are.
Thank you for having me. This was really fun. And I also can leave some books and different strategies with your class and with people that listen to your podcast so that they can also help themselves regulate.
Before we go, here's our community challenge. The next time you feel a big emotion, try taking 5 slow, deep breaths before you react.
You might be surprised how much calmer your brain feels.
Thanks for listening, and remember that hearts can make a big difference. So spread kindness, stay curious, and strive to make the world a better place, one conversation at a time.
Bye!